What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Just Draws podcast. This show delves into hot topics and general subjects of conversation among same gender loving black men. We call this podcast Just Draws because we offer raw, vulnerable, and stripped down perspectives in an effort to give voice to our oftentimes overlooked population. Join us as we share our various experiences, open up about our fears and anxieties, and have some laughs while doing it. Let's get into this week's episode.
All right, we are back with part two of our discussion on body image. If you haven't already, be sure to check out part one. We're now returning to that discussion already in progress.
Anybody else faced any other sorts of, or what your experiences are with, I guess maybe even like dating apps? Like, how many of y'all have been on the apps before or dated from that realm?
I wanted to ask a really quick question.
Yeah,
I
go
wanted to
ahead.
ask
Yeah.
y'all this, and we'd have to spend a long time on it at all. But just and I was piggybacking off of something Jeff had said earlier when it came to like people's like about the assumptions questions, like what people assume about you, like based on your aesthetic or stuff like that. And I wonder if like for you guys, do you guys or have you experienced in dating where because you are a more what we'll definitely say in this conversation more a naturally masculine person, whereas because like I always say, like a lot of people like a lot of gay men think they're a bit more masculine if they're the most masculine of their friend circle. So like in their minds, they are masculine because they're comparing it to some friends who are way on the other side of the spectrum. So, but my question is, have you guys experienced in dating where when if a guy meets you and sees that you are actually like what we traditionally deem as masculine, that he then sometimes kind of tries to play the like a more feminine presence to your masculinity? Because that's definitely something that I've experienced, and that's why I asked a question where like I'll meet a guy um and like just having met guys where them being around me and deeming and recognizing just this natural masculinity, and like they'll try to be like, oh, okay, because he's naturally masculine, I'm going to try and I'm going to try to pick up more of the feminine role or the feminine ideal in my approach to matching him. Like they're assuming that that's what I want, obviously, because oh, he's masculine, so he must want somebody who isn't as masculine as him or isn't challenging his masculinity.
Which is funny on that aspect because I haven't experienced that, but it's always funny to me because I'm always like, yeah, like in dudes, the thing I actually find attractive is kind of that masculine element itself. But what's funny to me is I've never experienced what you're talking about in terms of dating, but in terms of people that, like I wanted to build a friendship with who also may, like I'm specifically thinking about one who we share a close friend in common, but it's like the number of barbs, like this guy, will be here and he's like, oh, so you think you're straight now and shit like this. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, look, you have known me for how long? This is like who I am. It's like I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. And it's really such a weird dynamic to me because I'm like, I don't get it. But I've never experienced it in terms of I've tried a couple times in all honesty to date guys that were not traditionally masculine, and it just I will be honest, it's like it doesn't. I mean, it
Hey,
doesn't.
it's not for you, and you don't have to
No,
apologize to anyone for that.
no, yeah.
Say that it's been a while since I've actually had that experience where, and Lord knows I am not trying to act like I am the measuring stick for masculinity, but I've been in a situation where the guy has been or the guys have been a little bit more submissive to me, um and
And you
that's
mean like you
okay.
mean sexually?
I mean, sexually, or even just how they act or behave.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Kind of playing.
more, like,
It
and
plays into my point.
I would say that I'm kind of more like a gentle soul. I look at myself as like I'm just a regular average dude. I'm not trying to be, some thuggish, ruggish type of guy. I'm just
But see,
me.
but right there,
And,
all that does is all you're saying is that yeah, you're not presenting some hyper
I'm just,
masculine
yeah, I'm not,
idea.
I
But
just
that
feel like
hyper
I'm a
Right.
masculine
dude.
has nothing to do with masculine.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Hyper
I don't look
anything
at,
is not regular anything.
yeah, and I don't look at myself as being, like I said, I don't feel like I'm like exceptionally masculine or whatever, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like I don't have my feminine moments, you know.
Yeah,
But
you're a naturally masculine guy. Like
I am,
you're somebody who has the privilege of walking around in society, like walking into Walmart or the bank or your next job interview, and people don't automatically peg, oh yeah, this gay guy
Yeah,
just
that
left.
is
Or this
gay.
gay
Yep,
guy
yeah,
yep.
just walked up
unless
to
you're
me.
another gay
That's all.
guy.
That's all that means.
But if we're using that, then I would say like, yeah, 9 times out of 10, the straight guy or straight women aren't going to just assume I'm gay. Okay, so yeah, but if we're going to say that, but yeah, I feel like those guys did feel like they were a little bit more flexible in that. Like I feel like they kind of maybe that could have been them. Maybe that's my perception. But I do feel like they kind of dialed down their masculinity level to me, and I was like, okay, you do you, and that's fine. I'm not here to make you be any kind of way other than what I perceive you to be. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, but I can't say that I do feel like I've experienced that before. I don't feel like those guys were just, putting on airs or whatever. I feel like they shifted down a little bit, more to kind of make me be the more dominant person, even though you could say that I'm more domestic. I cook and clean.
Right, and which really just supports my point of like the irony of it because there are these assumptions because it's assumption based. Hell, we know most of the best chefs or the most popular chefs in the world are all men.
Yeah.
Like,
I,
but so
I
it's like
love to cook.
so it has nothing to do with actual things that people are doing. It's just about the natural perception of what we deem as just natural masculinity. So the thing that I was pointing that I'm more so speaking about is the fact that it's not that someone would necessarily like try and like become more feminine acting, but they'll start approaching me the way they would think that they've probably seen women approach their boyfriends. Like
Can you
they
give me
try to
can you
take
give
a
me
more
like an
submissive
example?
Yeah.
role and like and treat me as if like they'll try to be the girlfriend to my boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like he's a very naturally masculine kind of guy. He just exists. He has that privilege to exist in the world, whereas this guy is seeing that, and so he thinks that because of that, and as much people love to call it straight acting or straight
Hmm.
seeming or stuff like that, which is really just masculine, is what they're saying. But like, so that other person will then try and like play the girlfriend to that masculinity, to that boyfriend.
So
That's
like
definitely something I've
I've
seen
not
a lot.
experienced that, but like I'm really intrigued by, the question in that. Like, so how does it like can you give me like an example of how like it would manifest? Like you're saying not saying that they completely turn feminine, but like
Right.
how would can you give me like an example of how it would look if someone kind of tried to dial their masculinity back that was trying to date you? Or
Well,
in your opinion, how has that happened?
Well, okay, and then again, I want to make sure I rephrase it that it's not dialing their masculinity back.
Okay.
It's playing to me in more of a girlfriend kind of approach. The way we see heterosexuals. I mean, we've had
Yeah.
this conversation a million times. The heteronormativity of everything that
Mhm.
gay men then often try to emulate. So it'll be like that kind of stuff, like buttering up to me and stuff like that, and even just just like the interactions, like
Okay.
where it's like they're always trying to be up on like their physical interactions with you are
Okay. Okay.
like the way
Okay.
a girl is always being covered by her man or something like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And like
Okay.
up under him or like doting up to him, like more
it's
doting
it's
than any man wants his man to be on him. Like,
it's also
back the fuck up. Like, go over there.
seating decision making and things like that. Because I do know. I mean, I understand what you're talking about, but seating decision making,
Even stuff like that.
that instead of just kind of like expressing your true opinions, because
Okay.
you don't want your man to think you're challenging him or anything like that.
Okay.
And
Now,
Like, if you
now I
want to
can
go
see
here,
it.
let's
Yeah.
go here.
Yeah. Right. Like then I have experienced a little bit of that. That's why I wanted the clarification, because I was like, I'm not sure I've experienced that. But yeah, now that I'm seeing the examples that both of y'all are presenting, okay, I can absolutely see that. And I've seen it. I've seen it like very subtly, and it's to the point where it's like I don't catch it until like it's happened a few times. Like I'm not hip to it immediately, but it's just like, oh, okay, well, like especially that idea of decision making kind of thing. Yeah, that's a big one where it's like, okay, well, where would you like to go? Well, where do you want to go? It doesn't matter. All right, and then it's that whole thing of, all right, well, let's go here. Oh, well, I don't want to go here. Okay, well, let's go here. Well, I don't want to go here. All right, well, where you want to go? Well, it doesn't matter. Shut the fuck up.
Right. Obviously, it
and
does.
make a decision.
Because I'm the one who really doesn't give a damn where we go.
Yeah, like
with
Right.
all the issues,
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe very rarely, but it hasn't happened super often to me. But I kind of get turned off by that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's like, the reason why I wanted to date you was because of the fact that you had all the 7 C's that Sean talked about, and that you're able to make your own decisions about stuff. And that I always tell people, I said, listen, I want to be your extension. I don't want to be your existence. I don't want to be the reason why you do stuff. I don't want to be the reason why you you stay home, or that you decide to wear this. I don't want to be the reason. I want to be the person that is an extension of who you already are. Like you show up in this world however you show up, you do what you currently do, and I'm just here singing in the background. That's what I want to be, even though we're working on something, or we're partners or whatever. But I don't want you to stop doing what you normally do, with the things that make you you. So
And I just wanted to point out that, the reason why I brought that up is because of the whole presumption. You know what I mean?
Right.
The assumption
Yeah.
of, like, based on, like, you assuming something about somebody before getting to actually dig beneath the surface. You know what I mean? To any extent. And also, just to make sure, I wanted to point out that, and I'm not like shooting anybody in the foot when I say that. I'm just saying, like, that's something that I've experienced a lot, and it's something that I don't like. But I also understand why a lot of people end up doing that, because there are a lot of people who who continue to play right into heteronormativity, and a lot of gay couples or gay people who think that that is what we're supposed to emulate. You know what I mean? So, like, and that's on both sides. I know
I
gay
see
men,
that.
more masculine gay men, who don't want their masculinity challenged, so they want a man who is going to, like, tone down any masculine approaches toward him, and who is going to take more of a stereotypically feminine role, or a feminine
I
approach
see
when it
that. I
comes to
see that a
giving
lot with
exactly.
couples, especially when it comes to things like uh I lost my point. I think I was going to talk about like weddings and stuff. Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Oh,
Like how
gay weddings.
like when people are talking about getting married, like how, okay, we're gay. So like, why aren't we creating our own lanes of how ceremonies are done? Like everything is so heteronormative. Like, okay,
Right.
I gotta have my side of the family on this side of the church, your side of the family on this side of the church,
Right.
and then I gotta come down the aisle, and you got to be there waiting on me, and and then we have to do all of the all of this heteronormative sort of stuff. Like, you got to get down on one knee and propose to me, kind
Right.
of thing. And it's like, okay, well, while there's something to be said about ceremony, there's something to be said about what we know as tradition, but like why aren't we like creating our own sort of things
Right.
with
And
that?
I mean, that could go into so many different categories beyond
Yeah, it
weddings,
can.
but it's
Yeah,
just,
true.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like, but using weddings as an example, like as you haven't brought that up. It's just like, do you really want all this? Or is this is what you
Mhm.
know weddings to exist of?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I
We don't
mean?
have any
Or
other
consist
models.
of. Like,
Yeah.
do you really want all those doves over there? Like, do
Right.
you really want these on the photos? Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
So,
digress.
right. Is there any do you think that like physical appearance should or what role should physical appearance play in the context of making connections and relationships as a gay black man?
You just have to be cute to me. I don't care if you're
Mm,
cute to anybody else. You just have to be cute to me.
okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because it really doesn't matter. I know a lot of people want to have the eye candy and have, ooh, I want somebody to actually want my man too, but that seems like you are sliding down a slippery slope. But for me, I just have to find that you're attractive. I don't care if anybody else does. If I find you attractive, great, awesome. But saying that, I know that for me, what I have learned about myself is even though I may find you attractive and you may be sexy to me, long term, I actually need to find someone that I'm attracted to and compatible with. And I think I'd rather have someone that I could feel like is more of a friend that has the same type of interest that I have versus just someone that I just think is cute. Because for me, that worked, it got them in the door. We made things work out several times. I've been in that situation, but eventually they fizzled. And I never really felt like, oh, well, the breakup was that bad because I never really felt like we were friends. I always just kind of put us in this, oh, we're in this lovers category. And I think
Okay.
now going forward, I've had enough experience that I feel like I want to have a connection with someone where we do have more in common. We do have more things that we do other than, oh, I like to eat at this restaurant. I like to go to this place. I like to do that. I want to have someone that I have hobbies and stuff with, but I also need to find them attractive. And so where those two things intersect is where I think my next relationship would have to be. So physically, I don't care. As long as I'm attracted to your face, then everything else is fine. I can work around everything else. Or we can talk about other things. Like as a person, as I mentioned before, I worked out. I had the, cute little, rugby player build and everything was fine. Now I'm a little bit chubbier, and that's fine too. So I know that the body is going to ebb and flow. So you could have six pack abs today. You may not have that a month from now. So those things really can't keep me. They can intrigue me and entice me, sure. They can set up the initial attraction physically, but that won't keep the relationship.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think that for anybody who doesn't think that the most important part when it comes to attraction needs to be that they're attractive to you, is definitely doing something wrong. Um, but I think a big part of it also is people I mean, I don't know. I think that's that in itself, when it comes to attraction and talking about things around attraction or attractiveness, um, any lane of with the word attractive as the root word, um, the waters can get murky. I think. I mean, one, we all know everybody has different tastes. You know what I mean? Everybody, it's what the eyes of the beholder. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Which is true, but we also understand that there's a reason why. Um, like when we were doing the our when we did our one game of Shag, Marry, Kill. You know what I mean? It's like there's also a reason why everybody's attracted to the all the people in that game. you know um so yeah, there's that. I don't think that people should put by any means all of their eggs into the how attractive you find them basket at all.
Right.
anybody our ages, I think, who hasn't had an experience with somebody who you approach that way, where it was a complete disappointment, is probably very, probably very few and far between people who have not already had that whole banana in the tailpipe happen. Yeah, I mean, whether it comes down to them like being physically attractive to you, but like you completely hating the sex, you know what I mean? Or them having no personality at all, or a personality that just does not mesh with yours at all, you know what I mean? So many different factors that which point out, excuse me, the importance of there being more substance than just physical attraction. That said, I don't think that we need to minimize to any stretch of the imagination the importance of someone being attractive to us. And I think it's hard to get around also tying in that social currency that attractiveness is, and how I think, and it's might not come across in the nicest way, but I don't know how to say something like this in a way that automatically is going to come across nicely. But I do think that a lot of times people shoot for people shoot for the moon. It's like, I think there's a saying like you shoot for the moon and you might just land on the sun or something like that. But I think a lot of people are shooting for the moon.
No, you shoot for the moon. Yeah, I was gonna say you shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you're among the stars. Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh yeah, something along that line. But I feel like people aren't setting up for the miss part. People are completely ignoring the if you miss the moon part. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can walk out here and shoot my shot with Boris. Well, and unmarried Boris, of course. And it's like, okay, but that might not happen. So I should be okay with the fact that while I had a lofty goal, I can't expect Boris to just be turning around being like, oh, okay, yeah, to anybody, you know what I mean? Just shooting their shot at him, you know? And not to mention there's levels to this. So I feel like people a lot of times aren't realistic when it comes to that moon and stars gauge. You know what I mean? That area. So I think that leads a lot of time to a lot of people's disappointment and a lot of the face cracking. When it comes to attractiveness. But like I said, I think it's very, very important that the person is attractive to you, that you're attracted to them, and in whatever way that comes. But there's no need to minimize your physical attraction to somebody. Like, that doesn't have to hold the most weight by any means. But if you're not physically attracted to someone, and especially if it's at a point where you feel like you're more so tolerating it because of other things, then I almost want to say, like, get out of the way and let somebody who is attracted to them, like, physically get that whole person. You know what I mean? Like, don't tolerate somebody because somebody else out there might like that person better. You know what I mean? Might find that person more attractive. Like, so be honest and be upfront and be intentional about your attraction level when it comes to dating, you know, like, don't. And just my last thing, something that I had to learn being out here in the dating streets is that a lot of times when you think like, oh, you know, I'm gonna be a little bit more quote unquote open-minded. So, and there's nothing wrong with being open-minded, obviously, as we all know, but like, you'll meet somebody who you may not really be attracted to, but you're like, okay, well, let me see what else is going on. And then, long story short, it ends up tying into potentially us going back to that whole ghosting conversation, because your heart's not really in it. You're doing something because you think it might be something good to do, or you know, like, taking a different approach, but it's not true to who you are, you know, like, and so that ends up wasting everybody's time, yours and theirs, you know.
But again, this gets back to what is most important to you. Like, for me, like, whether someone is like classically, if you want to call it that, attractive, like what society deems attractive, like that to me is not a big factor. I don't give a shit about that. Like I there are a whole bunch of intangibles for me because it's like I have a pretty wide swath. It's like you can be too skinny, you can be too fair, you can, it's like I tend to tend to like guys who are kind of regular sized or a little bigger. And it's like whether that's everybody's gig or not, I don't really care.
But that's
And
the
it's
thing.
like
And then you just hit the key words, because it's not about society's gig, it's about your gig. It's about what works for you.
well, that's what I said. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
They have to be cute to me because again, it's like I've dated people who, by objective standards, people would be like, "Oh, they're really hot," and then I've dated people who the majority of folks would be like, "What?" But they're cute to me.
Right. And look, listen, and firsthand, Jeff Goldblum is my boo. Most people don't find Jeff Goldblum hot. I think Jeff Goldblum is fine.
Jeff Goldblum too. So that's
I think Jeff Goldblum is fine. Most people be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
I think he's super cute. Yeah.
Like, but to each his own.
Right.
And so that's the thing, because for me, it's definitely not like everybody. I don't just find Hollywood people attractive by any stretch of the imagination. I run a full gamut. But the key words that I think we've all agreed on is that, they have to be attractive to us.
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of people, I mean, because Jeff had touched on this before as well. It's like for a lot of people that's their touchstone. They have to be, who they're looking at has to be attractive to a majority of people. A lot of people get additional validation from that. Like,
Facts.
I'm not looking for that. I'm like, I don't need anybody else's validation. It's like,
right, but that's like a whole checklist thing though. It's like people love running up. It's just like, and you think about like the 90s black movies where the girl comes up like, "Ooh, girl, I done met this man. Girl, he this, he tall, he dark, he blah, blah, blah. He works at da-da-da-da-da. He got no kids, da-da-da." And so it's just like a whole checklist of things that appeal to other people, based on checking off this list. You know what I mean? Things that are like going to get other people to be like, "Oh, okay, you done hit the pay dirt." You know what I mean? So it's like, did you need that whole checklist? Or is that just the checklist that you're supposed to present to people when you talk about how you done found this new fly man?
Yeah.
Well, I agree with all of what you guys have said. I think that physical appearance should play a role in relationships, but again, it's subjective. It's what you deem as beautiful or attractive or cute or any of those things. And I don't think that your look should restrict or stifle any other sort of relationship. Doesn't have to be romantic, but any other meaningful connection that we experience within the community. I think that we should be kind of bigging everybody up and trying to help each other to be physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight, to quote the Boy Scouts. So that's all I have. Thank y'all for indulging in the conversations.
Darius, thank you for moderating this topic. Looking forward to some more topics coming up later in the season. And until next time.
All right, later.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Just Draws or at the @ Just Draws. Until next time, as you interact within your various communities. Remember to be like Draws, and don't be afraid to offer a little bit of support. Peace.